Let's send it to Canberra now. Joining us is the Shadow Foreign Minister, Simon Birmingham. Simon, good to see you. Let's pick it up there. Matt Keane.
G'day, Pete.
Well, his opponents called him Matt Green. So does that make sense that he's now the government's climate czar? Or is it just politics from the PM just to annoy the coalition?
Well, look, I think what matters here are not the personalities, but the policies. And the reality is that Labor's policies are not working. Australians are paying far higher electricity bills than Labor had promised them. They're paying a price for that. Labor's targets in terms of the rollout of renewables are not hitting the rate that Labor had promised. And that means we're at real risk of not meeting our emissions reduction targets. And what you're seeing from Peter Dutton and the coalition is a clear long-term vision, a willingness to take some of the difficult decisions in relation to opening up the discussion about nuclear energy, but in doing so, providing a more concrete and firm pathway for how net zero can genuinely be achieved by 2050, and doing so in a way that has a focus on the reliability of our energy, on how industry can continue to play a big role in this country, and of course, on how we can have stability in prices for Australians.
You've argued your support for large-scale renewable energy projects in the past. So where does nuclear fit into your argument?
Well, I think nuclear does play a key role in terms of providing the type of firming and baseload energy that is particularly necessary for heavy industry, particularly necessary for us to keep a manufacturing and industrial base in Australia and to have reliability in the grid. But I've equally absolutely been clear that large-scale renewables have continued to become more cost-effective and competitive over time. I don't resolve from those comments. There have been a lot of subsidies, a lot of investment and support to get them to that stage. Now, I expect there will continue to be investment, but it's not happening as fast as the Labor Party had planned or promised. There are a number of challenges, including community challenges in different parts, big transmission rollouts to meet some of the government's ambitions. And these are where it is running into strife and why ensuring that we have ultimately a technology neutral approach. It's not about nuclear versus renewables. It's about having all of the options on the field to be able to achieve net zero and ensuring that we deploy the best and optimal mix of technologies to get to that end goal.
Okay. What do you think the 2035 emissions target should be? You got a decision on that yet?
Pete, I think it would be ridiculous for me to sit here and try to pull a figure out of the air and say what that should be. As a country, we should be striving to achieve the maximum reduction in emissions that we can, consistent with the 5-yearly trajectory and targets of the Paris Agreement, but that maximum under analysis and careful consideration of the impact on our economy, on what is actually achievable economically, socially and environmentally across the country. If we could all click our fingers and say we'd be net zero by 2030, that'd be marvellous. But it's not true and it's not possible.
So Matt
is net zero by 2050.
Yeah.
We need to put in place the trajectory to get there.
With the best
mix of technologies.
Back to Matt Keane. He's said in the past 70% by 2035. Is that achievable? Does that fit in with what you might be thinking privately?
I'm not going to rule in, rule out different figures because the best way for the analysis on this to be done is with the tools, powers and resources of government and done in a transparent way around what the implications will be for jobs, for our economy, for communities, as well as for the environment.
And on AUKUS?
Governments have to be upfront about these things. Sorry, what was that, Pete?
I just thought I'd add to that. And on AUKUS, do you have concerns about what this could mean in the AUKUS argument as well?
Well, I don't have concerns about emissions reduction trajectories and so on. I do think that the Prime Minister's response to the Coalition's nuclear policy has been completely off the rails. Anthony Albanese, rather than slapping down Labor figures who have been putting out their memes of three-eyed fish and koalas and the like, seems to think it's all just a joke. Well, it's not a joke. Australia relies on nuclear technologies. We have done for decades at Lucas Heights and in relation to nuclear medicines. We are planning to in the decades ahead in our defence and submarine capabilities. And there's no place for this type of petty, pathetic scare campaign that Anthony Albanese is tolerating in the Labor Party. He should be shutting that down and ensuring that if he wants to argue against our policy, he does so on economics and on science, not on some type of Simpson-style scare campaign.
Okay.